After what was a pretty interesting round zero, we are finally into a little bit of normality. All 18 teams are going to be duking it out against each other. Without further ado, this is my round one tips. Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. As always guys, if you guys do end up enjoying the video, make sure you drop me a like, subscribe, comment down below, all that fun stuff. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, let's just get into it. Now, when this video is recorded, it should be up hopefully before Carlton take on Richmond. If not, that's on me. But yeah, first up, it is the round one traditional clash of Carlton v Richmond. Now the Blues last week had an absolutely outstanding win against the Brisbane Lions. They were 46 points down. We all know the story, and they went on and won by a point. It was absolutely unreal. Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, both in great form. With the Tigers, they went down last week to a really good Gold Coast Suns. Tigers will have some big ins this week with Dusty and Lynch to return. But look, it's looking pretty dire. I reckon we will get done pretty convincingly. But look, we always seem to somehow rock up against Carlton. It won't shock me if we do end up winning. But at the same time, I'm just going to have to go with the Blues here. I reckon the Blues will just get it done. They're too good of a side right now compared to Richmond. I'm going to tip the Blues here by 20 points. Moving on to Friday night, we have Collingwood up against Sydney. Now look, the Pies, they were showing up last week against the Giants. The Giants just torn them apart, both in the forward and in that midfield. The lack of depth in defence was definitely on display last week. The Giants definitely tore them apart, with Hogan, Brown and Daniels getting off the chain and kicking bags. But look, I wouldn't write off Collingwood. They are the reigning premiers for a reason. Last week was probably just an anomaly. They should at least rock up Friday night with a little bit of vigour. Now with the Swans, they had a great win against Melbourne the week before. Freddie Grundy again going up against one of his old sides. I reckon he'll want to have a great game like he did last week against Gawn. Can Isaac Heaney be able to back up his awesome game last week? Just up forward, still looking a little bit shaky for the Swans. Will Marty step up? Can Logan McDonald step up? Especially on the MCG, it's a lot wider. Look, I reckon the Swans will get it done. I don't know why I'm going to tip the Swans, but I just feel like, I feel like they will be able to turn it on when it matters most. Papley should have a huge game, I reckon. I reckon he's going to kick two pretty easily. I'm going to tip the Swans here in a close one by 12 points. And we move on to our teams who actually haven't played yet. We've got on Saturday, we start off with Essendon up against Hawthorn. Essendon will want to show off their new recruits. They recruited pretty big in the off-season. Ben Mackay, Jade Gresham, Xavier Dersma. All three of them, I reckon, are really good acquisitions for the Bombers. They definitely help out in where they were lacking last year. And with the Hawks, they were absolutely riddled with injuries over the preseason. They are definitely lacking, especially in defence. Look, up forward and in the midfield, they're still really good. The midfield still has Day, Newcombe, Warple. Forward, you've got Mitch Lewis, Jack Ginnivan, Nick Watson. It's just, that defence. If Sicily goes down early or he's not playing well, then I reckon the Bombers will just get over the top of them with the likes of Peter Wright down there. But yeah, just because of Hawthorn's injuries at the moment, I don't know. I think Essendon are just going to be way too good and just run over the top of them. I'm going to tip the Bombers here by 25 points. Now this one should be pretty easy. We've got GWS up against North Melbourne. Now look, it will be, I reckon, a pretty one-sided affair. The Giants were absolutely clinical last week against Collingwood, and I expect nothing less of them this week. They're versing a lesser opponent in North Melbourne, which look, their kids are great, but they are kids. They're going to run out of legs, run out of gas, and the Giants are just way too good of a side, and they're just going to run. They're going to run all over them, I reckon, especially being at Giant Stadium or NG Stadium, whatever it's called now. Yeah, the Giants, again, are just way too good. They should get the job done quite comfortably. I'm going to tip the Giants here easily by 45 points. Next up, we have Geelong up against St Kilda. Now look, it is at GMHBA Stadium. It's usually a fortress down there for the Cats. They always just seem to get the job done down there, especially, with the new renovations, they can hold more Cats fans. But look, I have a hunch here the Saints could get it done. They're under Ross Lyon. He's we all know how good of a coach Ross Lyon is. I reckon he'll just find a way to somehow get the Saints over the line. I just feel like Max King is ready to explode. Stupid prediction, but look, I feel like it's Max's game, and I feel like he's just gonna take the bull by the horns and just dominate. The Cats, look, they're still really good, still very talented. They still have Dangerfield, Cameron, Hawkins, Stewart, Guthrie. The list is still really good, and they've got some nice little young kids coming in, but yeah, just because it's Ross Lyon, I just feel like this is just one of these games where he'll just somehow produce a coaching masterclass. So I'm going to tip the Saints here by 23 points. Next up, we have Gold Coast up against Adelaide. It's up at Heritage Bank Stadium. The Suns were absolutely clinical last week against the Tigers, and I feel like that's going to start to become a little bit of a fortress for them up there for the Suns. Game plan last week was firing on pretty much almost full cylinders. Matty Rao had an absolutely unreal game. King, Lukosius, both of them hit the scoreboard, and down back, Collins, Powell had a great game. They're just stacked literally on every part of the ground. But with the Crows, they're going to be without Tex Walker, so Fogarty, Thilthorpe will have to step up. Will they be able to do that, especially when it's not at the Adelaide Oval? Isaac Rankin will have to get involved. He's been playing minutes in the midfield and up forward, so I reckon he'll be able to turn it on against his old side. But yeah, I just reckon the Suns would just be way too good for them. They showed last week they can beat almost any side at home. Like it is scary how good they are. And look, it was only round 0, so look, we can't say too much until they go and play away. But the footy that they are playing right now, it's as good as any side, really. So the Suns should get it done by 35 points. Next up, we move on to Sunday's games. We have got Melbourne up against the Western Bulldogs. Look, both sides will have a point to prove. Melbourne, after not adapting to the conditions at the SCG last week, was absolutely shown up by Sydney. Their midfielders have plenty of the ball, but just their kicking inside 50 was just shocking. And look, Bailey Fritsch was the only real limelight up forward. He kicked 4, I think it was, or 3 or 4. He had a good game. Need to lower their eyes and actually hit a target inside 50 instead of bombing it, because the forwards that they have at the moment just will not work bombing it, because the defenders will just come up, fist it, all that kind of stuff that defenders do. Now with the Bulldogs, they're under pressure from the word go, really. Like they still have a really great list. Their young kids are starting to come up. Another year into Darcy, Ugo Hagen is looking like he's ready to explode, and he enters free agency at the end of the year. So whether he stays, whether he goes, I reckon he'll stay. But that's all things to consider. The Bont, is an unreal player. Everyone knows he's literally pretty much the best player in the competition. Still got Libba, still got Treloar, still got McRae, but down back they've got Liam Jones, but that's really it down back. Is Alex Keith going to do it for them? I don't know. Will they find someone down there? Again, I don't know. Will Aaron Norton have his kicking boots on? We know how great of a contestant mark he is. It's just his goal kicking that always lets him down. But yeah, I reckon Melbourne will get the job done. I feel like they've just got more to prove after last week. I reckon it'll be a really close one, but I think the D's will just have enough to get it done. Going to tip the D's here by 8 points. Moving on to our second last game of the round, we have got Port Adelaide up against the West Coast Eagles. Now look, it is at Adelaide Oval. It's a fortress down there for the Power. We all know how good they are at home. How bad of a season West Coast had last year. Look, there will be improvements for sure, but the Power at home is a tricky away trip for any team, let alone a team that finished last on the ladder last year. And Port, they just have so much to prove. They brought in what they needed last year in the trade period with Ivan Soldo, and then down back with Asava Radigalia and Brandon Zerk-Thatcher. Yeah, that midfield is still stacked. Rosie, Butters, Horn-Francis, they should run circles around these Eagle midfielders, really. The Power should get this done quite comfortably. The Power to get it done by 34 points. Moving on to our last game of round 1, we have the Fremantle Dockers up against the Brisbane Lions. Now, look, the Fremantle Dockers, hopefully this year during the off-season, they've tweaked this game plan that they had last year, because they were playing really slow football. And with all the youth and young talent that they have, I just think they should have just put more speed on the ball. In 2022, when they made finals, they were playing some great footy, but then the year later, they just completely, I don't know what happened. Maybe they were just trying to be a bit more of a defensive side, but it just did not work. Their midfield's still great. Brayshaw, Sarong, they've added Hayden Young in there. He looks like he's going to be really good in that midfield. He absolutely dominated in the preseason games. Up forward, still a little bit iffy. Jai Amos had a great year last year. Will he be able to back it up? It's going to be second fiddle to him. I know Jackson will float down, and Darcy will as well when both of them are rotating in between the ruck. But will Tracy step up? Will you have to rely on Taberner? Who knows? The Lions, how do you blow a 46-point lead at home? Really, they would have done a lot of soul searching last week. They come out with a chip on their shoulder, I reckon. All right, they will be hungry. I reckon they'll be pretty hungry to get the job done here. And look, I know they don't play too well at Optus Stadium, but just because of what had happened last week, and they'll find a way to get it done. I reckon the Lions will get the job done by 24 points. And there you have it. Those are my tips. As always, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to drop me a like, subscribe, comment down below, share the video with your mates, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.